Atlanta up 20-0. One of the best playoff games I've seen. I mean, aside from the Broncos and
the Broncos
and the Ravens.
Yeah.
But firstly, the first drive of the second half, it's a long drive for Atlanta. They took off 7 minutes and 36 seconds of the clock, and then from then on, it was simple 3-and-outs. I mean, that was their only possession of the third quarter. It was a 5-yard touchdown pass to Jason Snelling, and then in the fourth quarter, the Wilson scramble.
Jason Snelling, by the way, where did he play at college? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
It was Virginia. Anyway, go ahead.
Did he really? He went to Virginia?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. So then in the fourth quarter, Russell Wilson starts it off 27-13. And then Atlanta 3-and-out, Wilson to Zach Miller touchdown, which was a great pass in the back left corner of the end zone, 27-21. Atlanta 3-and-out. Seahawks end up punting, and then Atlanta goes 3-and-out again. Wilson goes 4 of 5, drives 61 yards. The Marshawn Lynch touchdown, which was an odd touchdown. They still gave it to Marshawn Lynch. And then with 31 seconds left, Matt Bryant to Harry Douglas, who had a horrible drop in the first half down the right sideline, 22
Too bad,
yards.
because if he had better hands, he'd be an amazing receiver. He's always in the right place.
Totally. He's a solid number 3 receiver.
I think a lot of teams would kill to have him as their number 3.
He reminds me of Jason Avant, who's just like, he's always there, except Jason Avant's a little more reliable.
More reliable, but also not, I don't think, as fast. I mean, I think Harry Douglas I think if Harry Douglas had the hands of any other receiver, he'd be like a star, but he drops balls.
No, I think that's a fair point. Ryan to Gonzalez for 19 yards, and then Pete Carroll calls timeout. Mm-hmm. Now, when we saw it on the broadcast at first, I don't know about you, but my initial reaction was, because he was looking around, palms up, like, who called timeout?
Right.
And then we look at the replay. It turns out that he said, I don't know if you heard him say this in the postgame. During the pregame, he said to the refs, if I call timeout, what's going to happen? Is he allowed to kick? And they said no. The ref said no to him. And he said, well, what are you going to do about it if he kicks? And they said, we don't know. So he was pissed off apparently at the refs because he didn't want him to get that kick, that extra practice kick. So then obviously Matt Bryant hits the 49-yard field goal.
After he missed it.
After he missed the first one.
And again, it goes back to how absurd it is to call timeout and ice the kicker. I mean, it just maybe it's worked a couple of times, and I've seen it work a couple of times.
Well, the weird thing is,
on balance,
ESPN,
it doesn't. Yeah. These guys are either nervous or they're not, and they're all. I mean, icing them, they can't be iced.
No, Ben and I have talked about this repeatedly, that they're professional kickers.
Yeah.
They're at least going to hit 50%.
Right.
It's such a small percentage that they're going to miss 2 in a row. So obviously he hits the 49-yard field goal. And then off the kickoff, it goes to the Seattle 46-yard line, and then right when you think Atlanta has it in the bag, it's just really you can't just finish them off right here. So then of course Mike Smith, or if it was the defensive coordinator, a incredibly smart decision that I think more coordinators and coaches should do. They put Julio Jones back in the end zone because, like any other corner, they're going to try to knock it down. Julio Jones goes up and catches it.
Exactly.
So it was smart. Overall, though, it was a thrilling game, a 30-28 win. I believe the spread was 1.5 in favor of Atlanta. So that's also
it was at
interesting.
one. There's some people that were able to bet that at 2.5 and give the 2.5 points.
Was it Ben?
Ben and Michael.
Ben and Michael.
Yeah.
So that negates your loss when I believe you went 0-4 again.
No, I didn't.
You did not.
I was at 0-7, and before the Patriots game, I tweeted out, "Hey, to anyone who this matters, I'm 0-7, and I'm going to do the favor to you tell you that I took the Patriots minus 9.5." And of course, that's the one I win. So, So I was trying to help people out by saying, bet against me. If you took the Texans, that would have been the only loss.
Yeah. Okay, well, congratulations on your first win.
Yeah, we're pleased about it. Yeah. It's all about the 49ers winning. They won.
Totally.
Everybody goes home
happy. As long as your team is still in. It's amazing how quickly, the front headlines of papers can change. Because I know that we were all thinking it, man, this is happening again.
Yeah.
To this team, and Atlanta, who is so thirsty just to even get to that next round of the playoffs. They may have taken the second half off. I'm not saying they totally took it off, but it was stupid play calling by throwing the ball routinely instead of running it and trying to run out some of the clock.
They have so little faith in their running game, and I don't know why it is. I think
Jacquizz Rodgers had one of the most impressive runs.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was a Marshawn Lynch run,
Yeah.
and he's half the size of Marshawn
Right.
Lynch. Again, they're playing your 49ers.
Yeah.
How can the defense hold up?
Truthfully, I don't
guess?
know how the defense is going to hold up. The offense, in a weird way, has to play exactly as they did in Seattle.
Oh, by the way, this is pretty interesting. Matt Ryan on play action was 8 of 12, 87 yards for 3 touchdowns. So that's
There's play. I mean, that's an answer to one of your questions. What do they do? Play action.
Yeah. Here's the question: the Seahawks, Richard Sherman and Brandon Browner, those are big physical corners, and yet Julio Jones and Roddy White had some pretty good games.
Yeah.
So did Tony Gonzalez. So now you got Carlos Rogers, who is a smaller corner. Who's the second corner on the other side?
Dante Whitner.
Dante Whitner, who's, I mean, he's a hard hitter. He's tough. Do you think that those guys can keep up with Roddy White, Julio Jones, who are 6'2", 6'4", respectively?
I mean, they have all year. The Niners have done well all year.
Against bigger receivers?
Yeah, well, their problems have been against the tight end, and that's that sort of middle of the field stuff that Vic Fangio kind of surrenders a little bit, so that he gets his power off the line and slows the guys down at the line, but he gives up the short pass a little more. That being said, Tony Gonzalez is an unusual athlete. I mean, he catches balls all the time, and he catches them all over the field, not just down the middle. So.